Now, a CBS News investigation into Zantac and its generic versions. The nation's 3 largest pharmacy chain stopped selling the heartburn drug, used by millions, after the FDA warned this month that it may contain a potentially dangerous impurity. Our Dr. Jon LaPook reports Zantac's problems may not just be an impurity, but something much more serious.
We take the entire tablet, just as a patient would, and we dissolve it into the solvent.
At this Connecticut lab called Valisure, researchers test drugs from its own online pharmacy to check for purity and quality. Last spring, they decided to analyze a few heartburn drugs to see if they contained a chemical called NDMA, a probable carcinogen. Last year, that same chemical had led to recalls of some blood pressure pills.
So we're going to crush this.
Okay.
Into a
One
homogeneous
medication
powder.
stood out, Zantac and its generic version, ranitidine. It had levels of NDMA higher than considered acceptable. Valisure CEO David Light.
The active ingredient in Zantac appears to us to be a fundamentally unstable molecule.
Light reported to the FDA his suspicion that the problem is not just an impurity, but what could happen to the pill inside the body.
And in a variety of conditions of the lab, conditions of the human body, it can break down and then form the carcinogen NDMA.
You're saying the ranitidine itself can break down and form NDMA.
Correct.
That possibility, that ranitidine could be converted into NDMA inside the body, was suggested 3 years ago in research published by William Mitch, a professor at Stanford University. In a small study, 10 volunteers were given a tablet of Zantac and their urine was tested. NDMA levels were more than 400 times greater than what the FDA considers acceptable. Even after adjusting for a new FDA protocol for measuring NDMA, Mitch got similar results.
What we were hoping was that someone else would eventually pick up the results who's in the pharmaceutical field.
And did they?
To my knowledge, not yet, but maybe this will spur them to.
3 months after Valisure first alerted the FDA to its findings, the agency issued a safety alert, saying its own testing found low levels of NDMA in ranitidine. It is now calling even those levels unacceptable. The agency told CBS News it is now investigating what happens to ranitidine inside the body after it's exposed to stomach acid.
What do you think happens going forward now? What would you like to see happen?
So what we've been petitioning for is for the complete recall of all ranitidine products. Brand, generic, doesn't matter who made it or what lot number it is.
Zantac's maker, Sanofi, told CBS News that the Mitch study has limitations, and that the company is working closely with the FDA and doing its own robust testing. While Zantac is still being sold, some generic makers have issued voluntary recalls.
Okay, I think the bottom line question everybody wants to know, is there a link between Zantac and cancer?
No, but Memorial Sloan Kettering, one of the world's top cancer centers, has pulled ranitidine from its pharmacy shelves as it looks for any evidence that people who take it are more prone to get certain types of cancers. Now, people should know, Nora, if they're taking Zantac or ranitidine, there are alternatives they should discuss with their clinician.
All right, we're going to continue to follow this story very closely. Thank you, Dr. LaPook.